Japan Pot 65. In Japanese, the term used is mamawashi, root binding. The term originally comes from the gardening, where it designates the careful untangling and binding of each of the roots of a tree before it is removed. The Japanese bureaucracy provides vigorous direction on many major issues, continuing over a long period of time, and during this process they are in close touch with all the relevant groups to make sure they understand the evolving decisions that their roots are bound. The press clubs and deliberative councils ensure that wider circles of interested public are similarly informed of these decisions. The relevant groups are not expected to agree with all the decisions made by the bureaucrats. Sometimes a group's interests are not in keeping with the emerging decision, and this group must be made to understand the necessity of the decision and the well-considered impartiality of the decision. If that group is disadvantaged by this decision, then it is understood that they will be given special consideration now or in the future. The long-term continuity in the bureaucratic leadership, unimpaired by the changes of the politicians, ensures the reliability of the bureaucrats in carrying through future commitments. The disadvantaged groups' roots are thus bound and do not impede the effective moving of the tree. Not all a tree's roots can always be smoothly bound, but a majority is not enough, and a serious effort is made to include as many roots as possible. An important part of the root binding is to give each group ample time to adjust to the emerging decisions, to explain the goals of the decision, and let them understand the information that leads to this conclusion. If all groups are in order, then the tree can be moved with extraordinary rapidity. But if not all groups are convinced or not prepared, then the decision is delayed. Some Westerners working with the Japanese bureaucracy have complained that the slowness of the process can be exasperating. Occasionally, top Japanese bureaucrats talk enviously to the Western counterparts who can simply give out orders or directives or plans, but when pushed, they acknowledge that the Japanese system works better in the long run. The final administrative decision or bill pronouncement coming from the Japanese bureaucracy is not a tightly knit, clearly reasoned, lawyer-like brief that might emanate from the White House. It is evasive, indirect, even inconsistent in points, not because Japanese bureaucrats like evasiveness, but because they want to maximize the level of cooperation of all relevant groups. An example of results of the root binding can be seen in what may be the most critical problem for both countries in recent years, and the energy shortage. The Carter administration put forth a brilliantly argued, thoughtful plan for dealing with the problem of energy, but it lacked the consensus and support of the relevant groups, and its key parts could not therefore be implemented quickly and vigorously. The Japanese bureaucracy, in contrast, consulted closely, even with oil companies, working out in the conjunction with the leaders of the private sector a series of programs for energy conservation. They increased the cost of the gasoline about twice the rate of the increase in America. Gasoline mileage in new cars expanded rapidly. Solar energy units were installed in many homes, and companies developed fuel economy programs. the result was in favor of Japan.